When I hear the word Black girl, I think of beauty, I think of strength, and I think about myself and the people that I've surrounded myself with throughout my entire life. Yellow girl just reminds me of my mother's story, or me in the wintertime. Oftentimes, yellow girl is associated with fair skin, a fair skin color, or as my mom used to call herself, joking around, the high yellow house. Nigga. Feminism, I am a feminist. I advocate for women having just the same amount of values as men do. We work just as hard, if not more. Even in the education system, we obtain the most degrees. So all in all, I believe feminism is a great thing. I'm not pro-women, anti-men. Black feminism, to me, I guess, would just mean maybe not standardizing or putting Black women into a box simply because of their skin color or their race. I haven't had a chance to sit and think about that one, but if I did, Black feminism would just be like a realization to other people, maybe more so bringing attention to the fact that yes, feminism is an issue, but feminism is also different whenever it's spoken out of a Black woman's mouth. Oh, that's everybody's hair. As long as you've got hair, I personally think that you've got good hair. It doesn't matter if it's silky or if it's curly, if it's kinky, if it's straight, if it won't curl at all. I personally think that all hair is good hair if you have it. And if you don't have it, then hey, your skin on your head is just fine as well. But in a matter of the world that we live in now, obviously good hair would be the easy to manage hair, your 3C, 2A, 1B hair. Once you get to the 4C realm, that's when it's considered bad hair, when it's hard to manage, it's kinky, it's hard to get a comb through. Even then, oftentimes people don't think that their own hair is beautiful. And to be honest with you, I was probably one of those people who didn't realize that I had good hair until I learned that just because my hair is not silky and straight, it's still beautiful. And yes, I'll throw a wig on like I have now, but I could take it off and feel just as confident as I do with it on. Nappy hair. I think, oh gosh, this is so funny. I actually think about the kitchen in my house every Sunday, and depending on what my mood was that week, would determine how hard it was to get through my hair on that day, whether it be straight with a hot comb running through it, fresh off the stove, or getting twisties and curls or something of that nature, like trying to maintain the nap to make it smoother. Beautiful makes me feel, obviously, when I look in the mirror, that's what I think of myself, because we have to be honest with you, just being a Black woman in general in a society where you're surrounded by what is defined as white beauty, you kind of have to redefine it yourself and look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm beautiful, even though I may not fit this blonde hair, blue-eyed, straight hair, skinny frame term or image. I have to look at myself as beautiful. And there was a time in my life where I personally didn't even think that there were certain things I needed to tweak about myself in order to make myself be more beautiful in the eyes of someone else. But to be honest with you, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I had to learn that the hard way. And that everybody's beautiful. God created you, you're gorgeous. Me growing up, First and foremost, my mother is very, very fair-skinned. My mother is what I usually just say looks like a piece of paper, and my dad is probably as dark as night. And I love it. I love both of them. But whenever I was seen with my mother, because I'm like a middle skin complexion, whenever I was seen with my mother, people would question, is that really your mother? It looks like you should be your aunt's child. That oftentimes would bother me because when you actually look at our features, me and my mother look exactly the same. We smile the same, we laugh the same, we talk the same. But the fact that people would always say that kind of bothered me. Also, you know, growing up, I'm sorry, guys. But also growing up just in Kentucky in general has always been a bit difficult, mainly because you don't get to see a lot of people like you in the positions that you actually want to be in. For example, I got accepted into one of the best high schools I got accepted at one of the best high schools here in Kentucky. I went to DuPont Manual. And at my very first parent-teacher conference, I was so excited. I ran around the block, super excited about me getting into this high school. I called my mom, I prayed, I screamed, and I was just so excited. And when I got there, it was extremely diverse, but not diverse in Blacks, but more so diverse just in every culture. And I remember my very first parent-teacher conference, there was an Asian male with his daughter and a white couple with their son. And while everybody else was circling around trying to figure out what the schedule was and what it was going to be like, and everyone's really excited, I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm assuming that he just thought I was going to be unarticulate. And both of them looked at me when I responded to a question for directions and my views on certain things. And they were like, wow, you're really smart for a Black girl. And at that moment, it was really eye-opening to me because everything that I used to hear about, because I was very sheltered, and what I heard about people's idea of Black people, I'd never really seen in my face. But once I finally got to high school, I was like, huh. So people really do think that being articulate or being able to speak well belongs to just one race. So coming up, oftentimes I was seen as an Oreo, where you're sort of Black on the outside, white on the inside. Growing up, yes, I got a lot of lessons. Code switching would be one of the first lessons that I was taught. Growing up in my personal home, in my family's homes, going from house to house within my particular neighborhood, I could speak Black American all I wanted to. But once I stepped past 4th Street, white American switch had to be turned on. Here in Louisville, Kentucky, you're surrounded by privileged whites that oftentimes don't realize that they're privileged. There's also a huge amount of ignorance there as well. So if I'm sharing something or if I'm talking about something, they automatically disconnect to it if any part of my Blackness comes out. So in order for me to remain engaged or remain relevant or get accepted into this college or get this scholarship or be able to come into this place, I have to turn on that switch of being white or having a whiter sounding voice, something more acceptable so it doesn't scare them. I remember when I was younger, I was so loud about everything and just so opinionated about every single thing that you could think of. And my mom would always be like, shh, or be quiet, don't say that. Because, as a child, when you're young, you're ignorant, you're as honest as possible. And obviously everybody went through that time in their life where you had to be molded and told what to do and how to do it. But as a Black person growing up, I had to realize that there's certain things I can't do. There's certain things I can't say that my white friends can.
What disadvantages or negative experiences have you had because of your skin complexion?
One instance in particular with being a model, some disadvantages that I had with my skin complexion would have to be one that really changed my thoughts of the modeling industry in general. I remember going to a casting call for a magazine shoot with, do you know the magazines where you'll flip it open and in the bottom little corner, there'll be like, a man and a woman in a coat, or, a doctor's jacket, or, a suit or something like that. It was literally a casting for something really simple. I'm not going to say the name of the company that I was trying to interview for. But after they casted everyone and we had to do the callback, I came back into the room and one of the cast directors said to me, "I think you'd be better suited for Jet magazine." That was the most belittling thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I asked him why. It's like, why do you think I would be better for that? And I don't belong in a suit jacket. He just said, you just don't look like, somebody that would be in a suit. And it just, at that moment, I just probably just shut down and walked away from it. I didn't readdress it. I didn't confront him. But at that time, I didn't know how to handle it either. It was my first time.